10 days before she was found dead, Di Mitchell posted a video on Instagram. She was laughing. Her husband was in the frame. She was joking about aging, about being Vietnamese and never looking old. Hundreds of people laughed with her in the comments. Nobody knew it was the last time anyone outside those walls would ever see them together. Monday, May 4th, 2026. A babysitter cannot reach this family. Not a text, not a callback, nothing. And something in her gut says this silence is wrong. She knows this family. She knows their rhythms. She knows their patterns. And she knows that this silence is not right. This family does not go dark. So she does what anyone with that gut feeling should do. She calls the police. River Oaks, $1.2 million home. One of the most prestigious zip codes in all of Houston. The kind of address that tells you these people had everything. Beautiful neighborhood, manicured lawns, quiet streets. The kind of place where things like this are not supposed to happen. HPD arrives at 5:30 p.m. They walk through the front door of 2113 Kingston Street, and what they find inside stops them cold. 4 bodies, all shot in the head. A man, a woman, a little girl, a little boy. Both children found in their beds. Maya was 8 years old. Maxwell was 4. Their mother, Di, was 39. And she was pregnant. Let that sink in for a second. 4 lives. 1 home. 1 evening. And nobody on the outside saw it coming. Di Mitchell did everything society tells a woman to do. She built a career. She built a family. She built a legacy. She loved publicly, openly, and without apology. So I need somebody to tell me, what exactly did she do wrong? Because I cannot find it. And I have been looking. Before this video is over, you're going to know exactly who Di Mitchell was, what the record shows about the man who shared her home, and why this case should make every single one of us deeply, deeply uncomfortable. If this story already has you, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because we cover every case like this one the way it deserves to be covered, with every name spoken and every life counted. But here is what I need you to understand before we go any further. This was not a hidden family. This was not a quiet couple nobody knew. These were 2 of the most celebrated restaurateurs in the entire city of Houston. And the week before 4 bodies were found in that house, 50 people sat down to dinner inside their restaurant, and not one of them saw a single thing wrong. But before we talk about the evidence, I need you to know who Di Mitchell actually was. Because a name in a headline is not the same as a life. And her life deserves to be spoken in full. Di Mitchell was born in Chicago, raised in Houston, a first-generation Vietnamese American who spent her childhood weekends in her grandmother and mother's small Vietnamese restaurant. This was not just a job for little Thai. This was not just helping out the family. This was where she learned what hospitality actually means. She watched her grandmother and mother pour themselves into every dish, every customer, every moment. She did not just inherit a love of food. She inherited a philosophy of hospitality that would define the rest of her life. And Di was not someone who took shortcuts. She earned everything she had. She graduated from the University of Houston with her undergraduate degree. Then she went on to earn her master's degree in human resources and employment relations from Penn State University. Penn State. And she did not just collect degrees and sit on them. She climbed. She held HR leadership roles at 3 separate Fortune 500 companies in the hospitality and retail industries. 3 Fortune 500 companies. This was not a woman who was handed anything. This was a woman who worked for every single thing she achieved, but the restaurant world kept calling her back. In 2019, Di and her husband Matthew opened Traveler's Table in Houston's Montrose neighborhood. The concept was brilliant in its simplicity. Take diners on a culinary journey around the world without them ever leaving their seats. Dishes inspired by their actual travels: Australia, Japan, Korea, Nigeria, all under one roof, all built from real experiences, real meals, real memories they had collected together across the globe. And Houston loved it. Guy Fieri featured them on diners, drive-ins and dives. National exposure, national validation. By 2025, Yelp ranked Travelers Table as the #2 restaurant in all of Houston. Not #2 in Montrose, not #2 in their category, #2 in the entire city. But they did not stop there. In October 2024, they opened Travelers Cart at 1401 Montrose Boulevard, a second location. Fast, casual, global street food. And they did not just open it on a hope and a prayer. They raised $2.35 million in funding. $2.35 million. That is how much confidence investors had in what Thy and Matthew were building. And it was not just restaurants. Thy launched Foreign Fare, a travel-inspired clothing line. She helped create Travelers Collective, a hospitality umbrella bringing all of their visions under one brand. And in 2025, the Greater Houston chapter of the Texas Restaurant Association named Thy and Matthew Restaurateurs of the Year. Restaurateurs of the Year. Now let me tell you what her peers said about her, because this is not me telling you she was great. This is the people who worked alongside her, who knew her, who watched her build, telling you who she was. Emily Williams-Knight, the CEO of the Texas Restaurant Association, called Thy a ray of light. Not a colleague, not a business owner, a ray of light. Craig Howard, president of the Houston chapter of the Texas Restaurant Association, said he saw Thy as a future leader of the entire association. He said he could already see her as chairman one day. That is the kind of person she was. That is the kind of presence she had. Chef Yossi Bendra was literally in the middle of planning a collaboration dinner with Thy when the news broke. She described Thy as someone who was always on her toes, always planning, always supportive from the very beginning to the very end. Now let me show you the last documented moments of Thy Mitchell's life, because I need you to see how normal everything looked from the outside. Thursday, just days before her death, Thy posted a video on Instagram. She was out dress shopping with her 8-year-old daughter Maya. They were picking out outfits for Thy's sister's upcoming wedding in Boston. Mother-daughter time, lunch together. Thy wrote in the caption, "The sweetest mom time." She was planning, she was looking forward, she was present. Sunday evening, May 3rd, 2026, the night before the family was found. At 8:40 p.m., Thy sent an email to a colleague about an upcoming World Cup chef event. An event spotlighting Houston's diverse restaurant community. She was coordinating, she was organizing, she was planning for a future she thought she had. This is a woman who spent her entire life building a career, a family, a community, a legacy. She was still building the night everything ended, and she never saw it coming. Now you know who she was. Now you know what she built. So the only question left, the question this whole case turns on, is why? Why did Matthew Mitchell do what investigators say he did? And was there anything at all that could have stopped it? Let me ask you something directly. Was Matthew Mitchell wrong? And before you say, obviously yes, I want you to understand why I am asking. Because in cases like this, people sometimes look for reasons that become excuses. They look for explanations that turn into justifications. I'm not going to do that. But I am going to be honest about what the record shows. Because honesty is the only way we actually learn anything from tragedies like this one. So let me answer the question plainly and without any equivocation. Yes, Matthew Mitchell was wrong. Thy Mitchell did not deserve to die. She did not deserve to have her life taken from her in her own home by the man she had built a life with. Maya Mitchell was 8 years old, and she was found in her bed. Maxwell Mitchell was 4 years old, and he was found in his bed. An unborn child never took a first breath, never felt sunlight, never heard their mother's voice outside the womb. Nothing, and I mean nothing. No financial pressure, no mental health crisis, no paranoia, no undisclosed private pain, no invisible burden, justifies what Matthew Mitchell did inside that home on May 4th, 2026. Nothing. That is the baseline. That is the foundation. That is the moral clarity we need to carry through the rest of this conversation. Because I'm about to ask some harder questions, and I need you to know that those questions do not soften what I just said. They do not excuse it. They do not explain it away. But they are still worth asking. So here is the harder question. What was Matthew Mitchell carrying that nobody could see? Matthew had zero social media. Not a small presence. Not a private account. Zero. In a world where everyone documents everything, where everyone performs some version of their life online, Matthew Mitchell kept his entire inner world entirely offline and entirely private. His entire psychological and emotional landscape was his own. We know what they posted about their relationship. We know what their restaurants communicated publicly. We know what his colleagues observed from the outside. But Matthew's own inner world, his fears, his pressures, his state of mind in those final days, we have almost nothing to work with, because he chose to keep it private in a way that was unusual even by the standards of people who prefer privacy. His closest professional colleague was a man named Stanton Bundy, former head chef of Traveller's Table, the man who appeared on Beat Bobby Flay during his time at the restaurant and won. Someone who worked alongside Matthew for years, someone who saw him in professional settings regularly, someone who considered Matthew a great friend. And after learning what happened, Stanton Bundy told reporters he was questioning everything he thought he knew about Matthew. Everything. Because in all those years, he had only ever seen Matthew and Di in one minor disagreement. One. That is it. No warning. No red flag. No moment that in retrospect he could point to and say, that was the sign. Now here is where it gets even more complicated. Unnamed sources close to the case have alleged that Matthew was experiencing paranoia in the period before the killings. Paranoia, that is the word that has surfaced. But let me be very clear about what we know and what we do not know. This allegation has not been verified. It has not been confirmed by Houston police. It has not been addressed by the family. It is not in any official record. But if that allegation is accurate, if Matthew was experiencing paranoia in those final days, it raises the most devastating question in this entire case. Is it possible that the people who loved him had no idea? Is it possible that paranoia, the kind that builds internally, that does not announce itself in behavior, that the people around you can easily name, is it possible that it manifested in a way that was entirely invisible to everyone who loved this family? And I think the answer, based on everything the record shows, is yes, it is possible. In fact, it may be the only thing that explains the gap between what the outside world could see, a thriving couple, a growing business, a life that by every outward measure was full and forward-looking, and what investigators found behind that door on May 4th. Here is what justice looks like in this case. It looks like saying Di Mitchell's name first. It looks like saying Maya and Maxwell's names out loud. It looks like refusing to let the story become about understanding Matthew at the expense of honoring them. It was wrong, and they deserved better. I want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments right now. Do you think Matthew was experiencing something nobody around him could see? Or do you think the signs were there and people just missed them? Tell me below. But here is the thing that nobody is talking about loudly enough. The most dangerous detail in this entire case is not what Matthew did. It is what nobody saw coming. And when you understand that, really understand it, It changes the way you look at every family that seems fine from the outside. Because the truth about what happened inside that home on May 4th is not just a story about one man and one family. It is a story about what silence looks like when it is wearing a normal face. Matthew Mitchell was 52 years old, Oxford educated, a former pharmaceutical CEO who had run the Texas Center for Drug Development for over a decade. A man who then walked away from that entire world, enrolled in culinary school at the Art Institute of Houston, got his degree in culinary arts, and opened Traveler's Table with Guy in 2019. He named every cocktail on both restaurant menus himself. He was detail-oriented, he was present, he was functioning. And on the same Monday evening that 4 bodies were found inside his home, Matthew Mitchell had dinner plans. His friends were sitting at a table waiting for him. They had no idea. None. They were waiting for a man who was never going to show up because that man was already dead inside his own home. Think about what that means. A man who, on the same evening that Houston police were walking through his front door and finding 4 bodies, was expected at a dinner table by friends who had no reason to think anything was wrong. That is not the profile of a man whose crisis was visible. That is not the profile of someone whose pain was loud or obvious or detectable to the people who cared about him. Stanton Bundy worked with Matthew for years. He told reporters he had only ever witnessed one minor disagreement between Matthew and D1. He called Matthew a great friend. And when he learned what happened, he said he was questioning everything he thought he knew. Everything. That is the most telling piece of evidence in this entire case about how invisible whatever was happening with Matthew actually was. His closest colleague had nothing. No warning. No sign. No moment he could point to. Now let me tell you what else the record shows. 0 prior police calls to that Kingston Street address. 0. In the 6 months before May 4th, 2026, not one documented incident at that home. Not one complaint. Not one call for help. Not one record of any kind that would have appeared in any law enforcement database as a signal of danger for this family. 0 legal filings in Harris County courts. No restraining orders, no domestic violence reports, no civil disputes, nothing. Now here is what I need you to understand about that. The absence of documentation is not proof of safety. Let me say that again, because people keep reading this detail the wrong way. The absence of documentation is not the same as the absence of danger. It means nothing was reported. It means nothing reached the threshold of an official record. That is a fundamentally different thing. We have built systems, legal systems, social systems, that treat documentation as reality. If it is not written down, it did not happen. If there is no paper trail, there was no problem. The Mitchell case is a direct, devastating rebuttal to that assumption, because 4 people are dead, and there was no documentation, no record, no trail. A close friend of the family wrote something after the tragedy. She wrote, "Matthew, there are no words for the weight you must have carried. This kind of pain does not make sense, and that is what breaks me. Love was there, and still it was not enough. Love was there, and still it was not enough." That sentence is not an excuse. It is not a justification. It is a warning. It is a reminder that the most catastrophic crises can hide behind the most normal-looking faces, that the most dangerous silence is the kind that looks like everything is fine. If this case is hitting you the way it is hitting me, share this video right now, because these victims deserve 300,000 people knowing their names, not just the people already following this channel. Seriously, I want to hear from you. Do you think there were signs that people around Matthew missed? Or do you believe this was completely invisible? Drop your honest take below. And yet, the investigation is still open. The motive has not been officially confirmed. There is no note on record. And somewhere in Houston right now, the staff that Thy and Matthew built and trained and poured themselves into is still showing up every single day and opening those restaurant doors. So what does justice actually look like going forward? That is where we end. Because this case is not over, and Thy Mitchell's name should not only be spoken in the past tense. She built something that is still standing, and that matters. The morning after the Mitchell family was found, the staff of Traveller's Table and Traveller's Cart showed up for work. Think about that for a second. These are the people that Thy and Matthew hired, trained, nurtured, promoted from within. The people this couple poured themselves into for years, and they showed up. They clocked in. They opened the doors. They kept serving Houston, because that is what Thy built. People who show up. The restaurant put out a statement. It said, "As Traveller's Table and Traveller's Cart remain open for business, we want to thank our loyal staff who have shown up and worked through these difficult circumstances, ensuring that we continue to serve our community. Hospitality comes from within, and to honor the Traveller's legacy, we will continue to welcome you into our restaurant." The Traveller's legacy, that is what they called it. Say that phrase slowly. Mean it, because it matters. On Kingston Street in River Oaks, a memorial has been growing. Flowers, photos, teddy bears, notes from people who sat at these tables and felt like they mattered just by being in the same room as her. People who never knew her personally, but felt her presence. People who were grieving someone they only knew through a meal, through a smile, through the warmth she radiated. Let me name them individually and completely. Thy Mitchell, 39 years old, first-generation Vietnamese American, daughter, sister, mother, wife, restaurateur, board member, leader, a ray of light. Maya Mitchell, 8 years old, a little girl who went dress shopping with her mom just days before. A little girl who made sure her mom had an outfit for the wedding too. A little girl who was found in her bed. Maxwell Mitchell, 4 years old, a little boy who never got the chance to grow up, found in his bed, and a baby who never took a first breath, a baby who never felt sunlight, a baby who never heard their mother's voice outside the womb. 4 lives, 1 home, 1 evening. Here is what we know officially. No motive has been confirmed by Houston police. No note has been released to the public. The investigation is active. HPD's Homicide Division can be reached at 7133083600 for anyone with information. But here is what we also know. Justice for Thy and her children does not look like forgetting. It does not look like moving on to the next headline. It does not look like letting this family become just another statistic, just another tragic story that disappears into the algorithm. Justice looks like this video. Justice looks like 300,000 people saying her name. Justice looks like every person watching right now refusing to let this family become invisible. The doors of Traveller's Table are still open, and as long as they are, Thy Mitchell's legacy is still being served. Make sure you know her name. If Thy Mitchell's name deserves to be remembered, and it does, hit like, subscribe, and share this video right now. Every view is a vote for covering these victims the way they deserve. Her name was Thy Mitchell. Say it. Tell me in the comments. What do you think justice looks like for Thy, Maya, and Maxwell? What do you want people to remember about this family? I read every single comment.